Hey, what's up, good people? How you doing? Welcome back to Stock Up with Larry Jones. Hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell on this roller coaster of a day called Friday. It has been insane. Let's walk it out, as they say, like the song. Hey, first, this is brought to you by Stock Up You. That's going to be the top link below. Coupon code LEARN for my Black Friday sale. So, there has been a roller coaster day. You know, we had the sell-off on yesterday, right? So a big sell-off on yesterday because of fears that the Fed will not be lowering interest rates. We had September jobs numbers come out, and when you dig deeper, they're not as bad as expected. But remember, we didn't have October job data because of the government shutdown. So we got this whipsawing happening in the markets, okay? And this whipsawing has the markets confused. Look, stock market today, Dow soars 700 points. Nvidia climbs off of lows after earnings carnage. So, man, Nvidia went up 5%, then it dropped a full 5% if you count in the crater afterwards. And it knocked the ball out of the park, just like Palantir did. Now, there is fear when companies do well in their earnings and have positive forward guidance, and the market still sells off. A couple of days ago, before all of this happened, I was talking to Stocks with Josh, and he asked me what did I feel about the market, and I said I feel like it was January of 2022. Well, there is something that happened in January 2022. Only 3 times since the 50s has the market opened up 100 points up and then wound up red, right? That report came out before it actually turned around and went back up again. Okay, so one of the things that caused the market to actually go down was early this week, we had 4 to 5 Fed governors, but at least 4 Fed members. They were hawkish, saying that not only should the Fed not cut in December, but he shouldn't have cut last month, right? And so then we had a Fed Boston come on this morning, and I'm going to play to you or for you what she said. I'm not going to play with you guys. This is serious business.
So in terms of what I'm seeing for right now, and again, limited data, but pulling all of it together, I'm seeing economic activity continues to be relatively resilient, and there's some more robustness in demand on the demand side, both overall for consumers and for firms. At the same time, the labor market clearly has softened, and that is slower job growth, but with the slower labor supply growth also, the unemployment rate is still relatively low, and many of the other indicators, the claims data, suggest it's relatively healthy, and inflation remains elevated, largely goods, largely tariff associated. So as I look forward, I think that there's evidence that the demand got pulled forward. So growth is actually likely to slow a bit later this year, but I do think it's likely to pick up with solid fundamentals and as tariffs work their way through. But that means unemployment might tick up. I think we're going to see inflation continue before the disinflation. Relatively benign scenario, and that's something that I'm quite focused on.
So where does that put you in terms of policy? Let me just ask the first question, which is, how restrictive do you see Fed policy now, and is a restrictive policy appropriate policy now?
I think a moderately, mildly restrictive policy is very appropriate right now. And that is part of that relatively benign outlook that I just laid out, which is my baseline, because it helps to ensure that as tariffs work their way through the system, we really do see a return to that overall disinflation that we were seeing, many months ago. And so I do think mildly restrictive policy is very appropriate right now. And, and that makes me hesitant as I look forward to think about what the next policy moves should be. Of course, I don't make decisions before the actual meeting. There's still new data coming in.
But it sounds like you'd be reluctant to cut again in December, having already cut twice this year.
So there's some reasons why I'm hesitant, but again, I'm going to factor in all of the different information. One of them is that resilient demand that I talked about that could put pressures on prices and cause firms to pass more of the tariffs through.
So her MO is that the jobs are stable enough, but she's more fearful of inflation ramping up, and she wants to wait to see a little longer the damage due to the tariffs as it pertains to inflation. So that was what actually further sent the market down. All right. So guys, you know what? Let me go to what sent the market up, and then we'll look at the charts, okay? So that's what sent the market down, but this is what sent the market right back up.
My assessment is the downside risks to employment have increased as the labor market has cooled, while the upside risks to inflation have lessened somewhat. Underlying inflation continues to trend downward, absent any evidence of second-round effects emanating from tariffs. For these reasons, I fully supported the FOMC's decisions to reduce the target range for the federal funds rate by 25 basis points at each of its past two meetings.
Now that was Fed Williams, who came out after Boston, and then the market turned around and actually rebound. And I don't know where it's going to be. I don't know where this day is going to end up. It could be back red by the time you see this. But as it pertains now, an hour and 20 minutes before close, you can see the NASDAQ has went up. Look at this roller coaster ride. We were up in the pre-markets, and then we had a stair step down all the way down. I mean, 250 points down on the NASDAQ. And then what? Then we had a rise of 415 ticks or points, right? 2%. Then we had another stair step down of 161%. I'm sorry, 161 points, not percent. And then we went up. Look at that, another. So for the whole day, we're up 356 points on the NASDAQ, good people, on the NASDAQ. So let's look at the S&P. Kind of the same thing. The S&P is up 103 points. 1.6%. Look at that. It's crazy. So here's what we were looking at. I was looking at this morning. We have the Qs here, the NASDAQ. I was striking my lines, getting ready for a fall, which it opened. At open, the Qs went straight down. Boom, right? And then what happens? We had the Fed speak. So we had an open here high, and then the Fed spoke. So let's just go to the pre-market. Right? So here's what happened. We bounced off of this. We went up in the pre-markets, and then boom, Fed speaks, bam. Boston speaks, she sends it down. And then what happens after that? Williams speaks, okay, saying that he expects and supports a Fed cut, a rate cut, and then it goes all the way up, cools off, and jumps back up again. All right. Now we're an hour. I'm shooting this an hour and 15 minutes before the market closed on Friday. And so now we are up. So you could see, look at that. Bam, up on the SPY and then up on the Qs. Here it is. I was ready to short again. What is that here? Yeah, I was ready to short Rigetti again. Actually would have made money. Struck my line right here, and it came right just below it. I would have made money, but I was watching the markets, missed that, and then boom, we went up. We got VWAP. So we jumped below VWAP, and then we jumped above VWAP, and then we came here, right back up here. And so that's what's happening to your money. And so just like I told someone in my money moves, which is on WAP, I told them, if you're an emotional trader, don't look today. I told them right when the market opened, this is going to be a volatile day. It's going to be choppy. And I said you can have a reversal, and then I said you can have a reversal of that reversal, preparing my money movers not to lose money and not to be an emotional trader. Now, let's just take a look at crypto, and I'm just going to look you in the eye. And I would say I have more confidence in the stock market to rebound than crypto in the short term. My plans have not changed. I am going to wait and dollar cost average back in on a bigger pullback. Now, we have pulled back. Look at that. We're at 84 now. It just keeps falling. XRP under 2, down to 195. We're in extreme fear. Look at that. Extreme fear right now. Mr. Tom Lee thinks that we're going to have a short period of rebound. If you saw my video on yesterday, if you didn't, it'll appear here in your upper right-hand corner. But I want you to watch that as it pertains to crypto. But I'm just telling you right now, it does not look good for those that got in. Remember, for those of us that got in early, we gave up some gains, but we are massively up. If you just chased memes, you're taking a bloodbath, okay? And the alts did not perform at all, right? And so, that's why I've been saying Bitcoin will fall the least, though it's falling. Don't get it twisted. It's falling, but it will fall the least out of the coins. And so, we started buying at 19K and we are still here at 84K. And I am not even going to look at it, good people. If you got MicroStrategy, BitMine, and you've been in those for a while, you are getting smacked down. Now, I started a position where I started buying daily, just like I told you guys, and I told the people in Money Moves that I froze those. Thank goodness I didn't have a ton of money in them. I just froze it. And yes, I have stop losses on them. And if they trigger, they trigger. But I just started daily buying. And just when I started the daily buys, we get hit last week with these black swan events that are just insane. So this market will be choppy. There will continue to be chop. I would look out for crypto this Sunday, especially over the weekend. And you have whales that are selling now because of all the fear, because of these massive liquidations. Now, no one has a crystal ball. No one can tell you, yes, it's going to this price. All we can do is guess. We guess, right? We throw some guess out. Some of you guys, tell me. Give me a prediction. I don't have a crystal ball. I can guess. I was like, I can guess that Bitcoin will go to 130. It did get to 125, right? But what I was pounding the drum on is when it was 20, when it was 25, like buy early, even post halving. And so even if you did not hear me then, you weren't on this platform, or you just didn't want to touch it because it was down, I want you to start looking at the charts and seeing at what low will you start to dollar cost average back in. And you guys let me know what you would do and where you would get back in. Here's one of the things I told my followers in Money Move is that MicroStrategy and BitMine, those are going to continue to be choppy. Now, things could turn around by Monday. I don't have a crystal ball. No one does, right? Enter at your own risk. Anything I say is not a suggestion for you to buy, hold, or sell. But all I'm saying is you have to have a plan. And my plan is to buy more when it's low, buy less to none when it's high. Value cost averaging. And that's what I've always done. Okay? You let me know what you're going to do. So as far as panic selling, you would have gotten burned. if you panic sold in stocks today. But in crypto, it's just not good people. It's not good. As a matter of fact, let's take a look. So here we go right here. Remember, on yesterday, Tom Lee said that we could come back down to 77-ish, okay? And we've broke beneath the 84 level of support. So we are free falling, and we could be heading towards crypto winter. I'm not here to sell you hopium. We have to look at the charts and not ignore it. Now, could what Tom Lee said, could it happen? Yes, it could happen. But it's a toss, right? 6-7. All right, so look at this. It is free falling, and it could hit that 77. All right, and if it does hit that 77 area of support where Tom Lee says, he said it could hit the 77. This is what Tom Lee said on yesterday's video. He said it could come down to 77, and we will have almost like a V-shaped recovery back up. That's what Tom Lee said. He didn't say to 125, but he was suggesting that there will be a recovery because of a glitch. Okay, now just watch yesterday's video. All right, so again, that's for you to determine. You know, that's above my pay grade with the glitch and everything. I don't know. All I know is I have a plan. All I know is right now, my average in Bitcoin is way lower than where it is right now. If your average is higher, then you have a decision to make. Remember, and I'm not telling you to sell. I would be looking for more cash for the long haul. That's what I'm doing. So this is not a sell, okay, at all. But there is no wash sale with crypto as of yet. There is no wash sale. Last I checked, they haven't engaged it. For those of you that don't know what that is, look it up. But all I'm saying is, if you're long-sighted with crypto like I am, and even if I was slightly red, I would not still be rushing to sell and lock in profits. Now, some of the whales, remember, they got in. Some of these whales got in at 10,000. Okay, so they were up massively. So they can afford to be risk off, right? And then get back in later, which a lot of them will do. That part of what Tom Lee said, I agree with. A lot of money on the sidelines. They are waiting to get back in. Okay, and so that's what I'm going to do. So instead of me buying more Bitmine and MicroStrategy, I am going to buy more IBIT through my Roth IRA. Why? Because that's going to be the easiest way to take out a loan against my crypto. All right. That's going to be the easiest way. And I will have it tax free. Here's my other daughter. OK, just hold on 1 second. OK, I'm wrapping up a video. Just hold on. All right. Don't say anything. Hold on. All right. Do you love your daddy? You on speaker. Do you love your daddy?
Sorry, don't say nothing.
Your mama. Hold on. All right, good people. I'm going to leave it right there. Hey, listen, in spite of, this holiday is coming on. It's my dad's birthday, and we're all going to get together and go see my dad today. Pray for us as we pray for you guys. And remember, have a long term. Take your emotions out and only make decisions based on a longer term trajectory, because these days, this choppiness will continue. At the end of the day, you don't want to regret locking in a loss. All right. We'll see you later. Live, love, laugh, and learn.